What's up, DWA fam? This is Asia, here to remind you that if you like this episode, go ahead and hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts or leave us a rating and a review. We really appreciate it. It goes such a long way, and we love to hear what you guys are saying. Hope y'all enjoy this week's episode. Hey, y'all, and if you're new here, welcome to the family. My name is Asia.
My name is Jared, and thank you for listening to
Done with Adulting Podcast. We are really glad you're here because we're talking all things we have to do as adults that no one warned us about during the many years we were in school.
Yes, we also discuss pop culture, current events, and give our perspective on hot topic issues in our society. And even though we're best friends, we don't always agree.
Basically, we're millennials. We get it. Adulting is hard. Welcome to your safe space.
We hope you enjoy.
Dun, 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 dun. We're back again after another unplanned hiatus. And it's 2022.
It's 2022. We made it.
I'm just proud that we're still here with all the shit going on in both of our lives and the world.
There's a lot happening.
There's too much happening. It's honestly crazy. I actually can't believe we're even in 2022. I feel like it was just 2020 the other day.
Well, they said this is 2022 TOO.
Good one. That's what it's feeling like with the Omicron. Let me tell you.
That's very corny. You see that they come up with another. There's another.
Yeah. There's two.
Well, I mean, these are going to keep. I mean, this is going to keep.
This is our life now.
Mutating, but now every single time they put out a news article or a news clip saying, "Oh, there's a new variant found here. There's a new variant found here," and I'm like, yo, we know it's going to be here. It's here to stay. Just stop trying to scare us.
I saw the one from that's in France or whatever. It's starts with an I. Yeah. But then I just saw one today that was like the flu Rona. That was like when you get the flu and the corona at the same time. I was like, nah, that sounds horrific.
That sounds miserable. Well, a lot of people who were getting COVID, they also were catching pneumonia with it. So
sick.
That's a deadly combo right there.
And honestly, I am putting myself in personal lockdown until further notice. The people that I know who got it, even who are vaccinated and boosted, but are pregnant, are it's terrible.
Yeah. I've read a few articles that said, I think this one lady, I forgot where she was at. She didn't get the boost. She didn't get vaccinated because she was pregnant, didn't know the effects. She ends up catching COVID. COVID put her in a coma, and she actually delivered the baby in a coma.
Yeah, see? Don't tell me that shit because
you're vaccinated, so you're good. I don't think if you caught it, you wouldn't be put into a state like that. Yeah. Hopefully, knock on wood.
I mean, yeah, hopefully is right, but I don't want to risk it, so my ass is gonna be in the house. I've literally canceled so many plans. And it's just too much.
That's good though, because every single person, not every single person, but there's so many people who were catching it, and we're still breaking records. I think the other day there was a million plus positive cases in the States. We're 2 years into this thing, and we're still breaking records. It's sick.
That's why we have to move forward with our normal life. So on a more positive note, we survived 2021. If you made it to 2022 alive,
you got to look at the bright side of things. Thank the Lord.
Give yourself a pat on the back because you made it.
Thank the Lord we made it here.
I saw so many people that were like, I'm not doing resolutions because there's just no point. I'm just going with the flow. Everything is so unpredictable.
Yeah, because you could say you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and you're going to be working towards it, but the universe can point you in a whole different direction, unfortunately.
I just feel like with resolutions, to me, it's the whole resolution thing is just because it's January 1st. But And not to say people can't make resolutions and actually stick to them. I'm sure there are people who do that, but the people who are doing that,
Majority of people don't though.
majority of people don't. And the people who do stick to their resolutions aren't waiting till January 1st to like make the resolution. You know what I mean? Like they probably were like planning for whatever before that or started early or like whatever it was. It wasn't like a January 1st thing.
Yeah, those are 100% facts.
So I don't know. I didn't really come up with any resolutions either. I like to say 2022 goals. Like by the end of the year, I would like to be in this place financially, in my career, in my business, with the podcast. But I don't know if those are resolutions, so to speak.
Yeah, I remember like I was here with like bro and sis-in-law for New Year's Eve, and they kept asking them, "Oh, what is everybody's resolution?" I was like, "I don't have one, not one at all. Just hopefully stay healthy,
survive."
Yeah, survive. Right, basically, like so much going on in life. Just got to look forward to each day, each and every day coming up. So,
what's up with Daddy Daycare?
Daddy Daycare is going well. I
wish I could
fourth
be
week.
a fly on the wall. Like I wish I could just observe your life.
We just be chilling. Wake up, feed her, get her dressed, go downstairs, play for a little bit. Actually, depending, I might like take her if I'm like trying to run outside or something. I might take her to a track, just plop her to the side of the track, and I go run. She falls asleep, enjoys the brisk, fresh air outside. Come back, play around some more, do some tummy time, play with her toys.
This is so funny to me.
And then like mid-afternoon, hop in the car, drive around, go do some shopping, go do some errands. Like literally right before this, I had to go to like 4 or 5 different stores to return a bunch of stuff for Emily. So we just hopped in the car. She usually falls asleep in the car or falls asleep in the stroller as I'm walking. So
that's
she
good.
did that. Yo, there's one thing that's so crazy and weird. Like one of these days, I literally want to just get a bunch of GoPros and just hook them up to the stroller. Like people see me walking with a stroller and her, and they walk by me and they just break their necks trying to turn around and like
they're so
see
confused
her and look, not even confused. It's like they're nosy.
Yeah.
And they just want to look and look at her, see her. I'm like, Jesus. I remember I was walking to the Target. This lady's walking out. She like looks at me. I just noticed on the side of my eye. As soon as she gets like next to me, she completely turns around and breaks her neck trying to look into the stroller. But I think Jovi was asleep at that time. So when she's asleep, I have it covered so the light doesn't wake her up or anything. But there's so many times when I've seen people physically turn around and make an effort to try to look in the stroller. And some of the older people, they just come right up to me and just put their face in the stroller.
They just want to see your baby.
Yeah. And then there was one time I was walking through the neighborhood and these 2 older women, they were walking past me and they were like, "Oh, look at you. You're such a great dad." And I'm like, "What? Just because I'm walking like with a stroller?" And then
literally though.
And they were all masked up. So I thought they were coming to stay away. But then they came right up to me, like looked at her, started talking. And I was wearing light blue. And this lady goes, as they're walking away, and she's like, "Good for you for wearing that color." And I'm like, "What?"
Nobody would ever say,
so
"Look
confused.
at you being such a great mom," to a mom pushing a stroller.
Exactly. And I also don't think like a good amount of people wouldn't break their necks trying to look at a woman's
No, I
either.
think they do that. I think people, I mean,
I don't know. It's been
maybe they're trying to see like how old your kid is. Like maybe they're like, "Wow, this dad is with this little baby," but I feel like Jovi's not even little anymore. But question.
Wait, before you were actually pregnant, I don't even know if this even like crossed your mind or anything, but have you ever just saw a dad out with a stroller? And like, what were your thoughts with that? I'm trying to think like, what is the thought behind seeing just a random guy out with their kid with a stroller, and why is it such a fascination?
I just think it's different? Like, I just think our society doesn't like, I just saw some girl post this reel about this today when like moms go out and people will be like, "Oh, who's watching the kids?" And the mom's like, "Their dad." And they're like, "What a nice dad, like babysitting." And they're like, "No, but like he's not babysitting, like he's the parent too." I just think the society is like this is the
Gender
mom's
norms.
role. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, and I also think too, this is going to be my question. What you and Emily did for maternity and paternity leave, like taking turns, that you guys are the first people that I know that did it that way. I was gonna ask because I know a lot of people who are currently pregnant if you would recommend that. And I think that's maybe why, because especially when the woman's on maternity leave, like they're usually the dad goes back early, beforehand,
Yeah. The
and they're
dad only
usually
takes like a
running.
week or two, it seems.
Yeah. And they're usually running errands, and you don't always hear it like the way that you and Emily did it. So maybe that's why they're confused. They're like, this dad in the 1 p.m. in the middle of the day. They're probably like, does he work? Is he a stay-at-home dad? Like, and then
Hey,
you're black.
True. Yeah. That's what I think it is mostly. I ain't gonna hold you.
And then you're just black in general. So it's like, is this
I'm black walking.
stay-at-home dad?
I'm black walking around Natick. Like
So I was gonna ask you, like, how did that work out? Because we're trying to make our plan, and do you think it's worth it to do it that way? Like,
I 1000% think it is. And I also think COVID kind of helped because when she was off in her maternity, I was still at home working. So I was able to still help out versus if I guess offices were open and I was actually in the office every day, it might have been a little bit more, it might have been a little bit more stressful for her just to literally be here by herself with the baby, especially those first few weeks or even few months, you know what I mean? So I think COVID definitely helped, and it was actually made it flexible for us to do that. But also, I think the main reason why we did that was to try to hold off daycare as long as possible, because let me tell you, daycare prices are absolutely ridiculous, and it's like another mortgage. So,
right.
Yeah. So, I 1000% am happy the way we did it. I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it now. And maybe for the future kids, it might be a little different depending on where we're at with COVID and if offices are open and the flexibility of people to be working from home. So it'll be interesting to see how we, I guess, adjust that in the future. But I definitely would recommend splitting it up a little bit.
I need to think about that, because you still took like a week. Like in the beginning, you took like a week or two, right?
I didn't even honestly, like, I didn't even put time in. My boss was just like, "Oh no, just take what time you need." And mind you, this was like a new job for me. So I had left my job and started this job in July, and she came August. So I was only there for a month, but he was like, "Take your time." I didn't even put it in. I really didn't know how the PTO policy worked at that point. Like, do I just need to let my manager know? Do I need to formally put it in? Yada, yada, yada. So I was just checking emails here and there and then just being with them. But also what we were trying to do. So if I stayed with my previous company, I would have also had like 6 months, something crazy for paternity leave. So we were talking about even overlapping towards the end of it. So say if she had 4 or 5 months, we would kind of overlap for a month where we both would be at home. But with this new company, I only had 7 weeks. So we just started as soon as she was over, but I still was working from home. And like I said, I was just checking emails. I mean, obviously popping into meetings when I needed to pop into meetings, but it was cool to just actually be home.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm definitely interested to like ask that to somebody else who maybe had babies when there was no COVID and you actually had to be in the office. Cause like when I'm home working from home, I still can take time for like, help out 10, 15 minutes, let her go shower. If I'm at work and not in the house at all, she's going to be a little bit more stressed out and not actually be able to have those quick little breaks. You know what I mean? So it's definitely been an interesting perspective being in COVID and work from home, things like that.
I hope I never have to go into work again. Let me tell you.
What are y'all leaning towards in regards to?
We have. Well, you can ask Terrence about this when you talk to him. But we have currently no plans. It's so funny because this entire pregnancy, obviously, we just moved. So as you know, like how consuming it is to move into a new house, like there's all the things you have to do. So
it's a never-ending project.
Yeah. So the fact that that's going on, has made it very distracting from like the fact that a child is, 2 months old. literally going to be here in 3 months. Like if you were a fly on the wall in this house, you would have no idea that a baby was coming because we just haven't had the time to like focus on it. And but it's so funny because every time I go to ask Terrence, like, oh, we need to make a plan for this. Like, what do you think about this? He'll literally be like, I'm gonna think about that in 2022. Like that was his response until
Well,
now. It's 2022. So we actually have I have like a virtual doula that I'm working with, Sydney. She actually came on the show.
oh yeah.
But we have our first thing with her like next week. So I feel and we're like doing the birth plan and like the post-birth plan. So I feel like once we start doing that, it'll become like way more real. I just think Terrence thinks that this is like so far away. And because it's happening to me, like because I'm pregnant, I'm like, this is gonna be like here in 2 seconds. I can tell like I'm getting more uncomfortable.
By the second.
Yeah. I like I'm not sleeping well, like and it's gonna get worse. But my
3 months
week,
gonna fly by. Honestly,
it's gonna fly by. Dude, my next doctor's appointment is on February 3rd. That's my 30-week appointment. I feel like once you get into the 30s, it's like you're
jeez.
basically over.
Yeah, because then you obviously can come early. Like you don't know.
Yeah. You have
When the
no
kid's gonna
idea.
come.
So I hope actually the kid comes early, but I swear to God, I think this kid's gonna come on the day that astrologer said it. But
But she's. I mean, that person was right about a lot of other things. So
well, the date that she said is the day before the due date, which is
mm,
like one day early. But I think I'm gonna go in like the day before that and then like at night or something. I don't know. You know, I try to predict things. But I would
so
like to go earlier than that. Like I'm done.
you're over
I'm
it. You're
sick
over
of
it.
it. I'm
Yeah.
just over it, but
Are y'all
whatever.
still waiting to find out, or actually, you two were going to find out, but you were going to keep it a secret?
Well, that was one option, but we didn't end up doing it, and now we're all just gonna be surprised together.
Oh, geez.
I know.
So how was that being handled? Like, how was
I
it?
honestly think it's the only thing motivating me to like get to the end. Like at this point, I'm just so over it. I'm like, at least I'll be surprised. Like at least I'll get to find out. Like, you know what I
Yeah, it's
mean?
like one more big surprise. Yeah.
Um,
Are you leaning towards one or the other?
I don't know. I feel like it's a girl, but I kind of want a boy, but I had a dream about it being a boy, but then like I don't know. It really could go either way. I'm not sure. Every day I change my mind. So
Yeah.
we're
I
gonna
mean,
find out, obviously. That's like the fun part, I feel like people when they're like, oh, I think it's this, and I'm like, really? Why? And they're like, because your belly is 2 centimeters. I'm like, whatever,
yeah.
bro.
There
You
was
can't
all the
tell.
like the old wives' tales where they were like, oh, if you do this, if you dream about this, if you
Yeah,
crave
yeah,
this,
yeah.
then it's this,
Yeah.
is that, is boo boo boo. I think Emily was having all that, and then we found out it was a girl. At
And it
first, she was
was the
like, "Oh, it's a
opposite.
boy." It was
Yeah,
the
yeah,
opposite.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think some of our friends though, like when Emily was pregnant, she was talking to some of our friends, and I believe some of them theirs actually came right to whatever wives' tale it was, but
Hmm.
I don't know. All
We'll see.
superstition. Yeah. At
It's
the end of the
all
day,
superstition. So yeah, we'll see.
exciting
But
times though.
is
Exciting
it,
times.
dude? It's crazy, honestly. 2022 as a year, like as a whole year, is gonna be just so wild to think about compared to 2021 because by the time this baby gets here in April, there's still a lot of year left. And the most annoying
Facts.
part is
I mean,
like,
it's the beginning of the year. It's literally a little bit
yeah,
past the first quarter. No, no, it is
the
first quarter.
it is the first. Well, yeah, I think what's the first quarter? Does it go till March or April?
April.
I think so
For
too.
every 4 months, yeah. Well, it depends. I
Oh
mean, if
yeah,
you're just going,
quarter.
yeah, if you're going by the calendar year. I mean, some companies do their quarters differently, but yeah, it'll be January through April.
Yeah, so it's like, how can I even plan for 2022? Like, I can't. I don't know what this kid is gonna be like, what my life is gonna be. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
I'm getting invitations for shit for like events and like trips for 2022, like October and shit like that. And I'm like,
they're like,
I don't
no,
fucking know if
no.
I'm gonna
Usually,
be able to
you
do
gotta say
this.
no. It's gonna be a brand newborn.
Also, yeah,
But then again,
fucking
I mean, you could travel with newborns, like we did it. I spoke to this one woman. She said that she traveled with her newborn. They were like 4 or 5 weeks old. I was like, oh, you're tripping. But I mean, you
four or
can't.
5 weeks. I would be,
Yeah,
On a plane?
Yes.
Oh no, I wouldn't do a plane. Like I'm taking my kid to the vineyard in June, probably. There'll only
Oh
be
yeah.
8 weeks then.
That's a car ride and a ferry, no? You can just stay in the
Yeah,
car the whole
you
time.
stay in the car the whole
They'll
time.
be in a car seat.
Yes.
That's not that
So
bad. It's not bad at all. That's gonna be
whatever.
your. You think that's gonna be your first little major trip
Probably.
with the young one?
I think so. So yeah, we'll see. But quickly, one thing I wanted to um one thing I wanted to suggest to the listeners, I did this and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like if you haven't taken any time to like really sit down and reflect like how you are different or how your life is different now from the beginning of 2021. I feel like sometimes we're just like in the heat of life and you're just going day to day to day, whatever, and just trying to like keep up. But then when you actually sit down and like look at the different areas in your life and like what has changed and like how you've grown and stuff like that, it's actually very like encouraging. Like, okay, that was a hard year, but like I did all these things. Like that's what we did for the podcast too. And I was kind of surprised because we had so much going on this year with the podcast. We didn't have as many episodes as we had in 2020.
Yeah, the previous year, yeah.
But we still had, shout out to everybody listening. We still had 8,500 downloads for the year, which is about the same, a little bit more than we had in 2020, but with like significantly less episodes. So
the support has been there.
Yeah, shout out to y'all. But also, like, if you haven't done that, like taking stock of like your life, basically, to like see how far you've come, and then also like journal like where you are today. Like, I wish I journal more. I kind of hate journaling, like doing it, but then later I'm like, I wish I would have wrote some things down. Because if you write down like right now how you're feeling, like what's going on, and then you can go back and read it in 2023, it's like it's cool because so much does happen, but we get so caught up in like life.
Yeah, and you forget certain things, you forget certain feelings. But I guess I mean, obviously, if you write it down, you have something to go back to, and actually, you seeing it or you rereading it might actually bring you back to that point in time.
Literally, so it's cool.
That's actually a good point. It's a very good point.
Thank you. I was gonna say too. We posted the other day about what our top episodes were for 2021. What the listeners liked the most, and the top 3 were the one we did with Amy about like domestic abuse and narcissism, which was a fucking good episode. I agree with everybody. The one we did with the college students, that was like a live virtual event.
WPU? No.
PI,
WPI. WPI.
Which actually kind of surprised me, but I'm like, maybe we got some WPI, like, you know, some more college students on that episode that started listening. Hopefully. But I liked that one. That was fun. I remember after that episode, we were like, wow, they're so cool. Like Gen Z is so cool.
Yeah. And I mean, just like, the specific people we were speaking to also were pretty dope. Like the one girl was running a sorority at the school, but she lived in New York? No.
She lived in DC.
Yeah, that's the nuts. That was nuts. I'm like, how are you running the sorority?
And they were like
physically on campus,
organizing protests and like just shit we would never.
they were doing a lot.
Never crossed our mind when we were in school. So that was cool. And then the third was Hodges part 1, when he told his it was during Mental Health Awareness Month, and he came on and talked about his mental breakdown and how it built up and what happened, and that was a good one.
Number 2 released a few weeks ago, so still, if you haven't checked out the second part of that, make sure you go back and you listen, because he actually talks about the whole rehab experience this time, and it was some nice quick conversation.
Yeah, it was good. And I think too, that's the only good thing about when we miss a few weeks, is it gives y'all time to catch up.
I got a few people who hit me up like, oh, I caught up on the pod. I said, that's dope, because we haven't released in a minute. So
yeah, and you get behind just like we get behind. Yeah. But what was your favorite one?
My favorite, I don't know, I had
2021.
I had a few. So at the firearms episode with
Oh,
firearms. Jovi's birth story
of
obviously
course.
brought me back, and then I was going to say the college episode that we did. I also think that was like kind of our first paid gig a little bit.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is. I forgot about that accomplishment.
Yeah, so out of those three, I mean, those are my top three. My favorite one out of it, I don't know. A lot of people hit me up about the Don Firearms one. They were like, "Yo, I'm with him. I'm with everything he was saying. Like, that's exactly what I need to hear." Yada yada yada. But I guess I was gonna go with Jovi's birth story. Just
Yeah, that's a good
brought me
one.
back. Emily was able to join and be on there, so got to
Aw.
reminisce a little bit. It'll be
Cute.
crazy to go back in here now. Now she's like 4 going on 5 months. So
Well, since that's the one you chose, let's play a quick clip from it to remind ourselves about why you liked it. That one was so cute though. Okay, here we go. Wow, so this is like a question I did not prepare you for, so if you have to think about it for a second. But I'm going to ask each one of you. What is like one thing that you're like, or I don't know, what's your favorite part of seeing the other person parent so far? You know, like this is like a new realm for you guys. So I'll guess I'll ask Emily first. Like what's like your favorite part of something Jared does, or like how he's adjusting, or like whatever so far in the journey?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
I think my favorite thing has been seeing Jared just like jump in. So like as someone who didn't or preferred not to hold really little babies or didn't change like a ton of like young infants, it's been really fun to see him like immediately. Yeah, but he just like immediately connects with her and just like is all in. So he is like, okay, she needs to change. Okay, now like I'm into that. Okay, like just seeing, I don't know, just seeing that has been really fun. Now that she's a little bit more alert, just like watching her like gaze at him and her and him at her.
Stop! I'm gonna
has
cry.
been just, like literally heart wrenching. It's like it's the cutest thing ever. So I feel like those are the points that I love to see is like when she gets all like cozy with him and then just like is very content with him. I love that.
Oh my God, so cute. Okay, your turn.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, her just like holding and feeding the baby and then just putting her body and her whole like mental on the line, just making sure that she's 100% good.
Yeah.
Because she has to, I mean, as a mom, especially if you're breastfeeding, like everything is going towards her, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So like she has to feed, then she has to pump. It's just like nonstop throughout the day. And then I just try to do what I can so when she is able to get some rest, she can.
Dope.
But it's a crazy experience.
Tips for other new parents that you would say at this point in your 19 days of experience?
Mm.
I don't think I'm ready to give experience yet.
Yeah.
Or give advice yet. I mean,
So experienced.
I just don't. Yo, it's
Oh
funny because
my
everybody
God.
says when they sleep, you sleep, but I feel like that's like impossible.
I know. I heard that's some bullshit advice.
Yeah, like there's no
Yeah.
way. There's no way.
Yeah, I feel like getting used to like, and maybe this is like pregnancy, you're used to not being in control of, like you can't control it. Like you learn so much about your body when you're pregnant, and I feel like that is the same thing with like our birth. Like you can't really have necessarily one plan in mind.
Yeah.
Things may change. Like you're kind of going with it and learning. You've never seen your body do this for the first cycle before, and I feel like it's the same thing with motherhood. At least from my perspective, is like she's her own being now, and so getting to know her because I can't control her, so I can just read. I can try to read her. I can try to learn, and then like
adjust from there.
And the more that we can communicate and like help each other do that, I think that's like, I don't even know that it's advice because we're still doing it. So
Right.
it's more, or just like, maybe we'll all get through this because that's how we've seen things go.
And to your previous question, I also love seeing the excitement on Emily's face when like she's dressing her.
Oh,
or like picking out clothes for the day for her to wear, or even like the jammies, because
the jammies.
I feel like she just gets like when she's in
Oh
such a
my
cute
gosh, you're so
outfit.
cozy.
Yeah, when she's in such like a cute outfit, she just like has this smile on her face. And then even there's one like she's been holding her nonstop, and I'm like, yo, you can't let her sleep on you the whole day because she's not going to want to sleep in her crib or her
She
bassinet or whatever.
will.
I'm just like,
Don't listen to Jaren.
but just seeing her just so happy just to hold her and just snuggle with her,
So
it's a
cute.
great sight to see.
That was so cute. You guys were just fresh new parents back then. You guys are
I
like
know.
professionals now.
Yeah, definitely not. But I remember those nights when she first popped out. I was
Yo,
like
I remember the
sleepless.
first text you were like, yo, people were not lying about the no sleep thing. Like you were
Facts.
like, oh, I thought they were being dramatic, but like
Yo,
they're
because
not.
people are so dramatic about every other situation. So I'm like, oh, it's not going to be that bad. But boy, let me tell you, those first few nights, I was like, oh my God.
Don't even tell
Unbelievable.
me
Yeah,
that.
good luck. So at the hospital, well, at least the hospital we were at, they would overnight they would take her out and put her in the nursery. So you actually were able to get some sleep. I know a lot of people aren't into that because they don't want the baby to leave their sight, but
Right.
there were times when I was like, yo, when did they come to get this baby? Like, I want to go to sleep.
Right.
And we actually we got to stay in the hospital for a few extra nights because of the time that we actually came into the hospital, and when she actually delivered, we hit some special time that allowed us like an extra day or two. So I was like, yeah, we're already paying for it. Might as well stay and have the extra help so we can actually get some rest. So I definitely would encourage y'all to let them take your baby out of the room so you get some sleep. I know it might be tough, but
I know it might be tough.
it might be tough, but I bet you're going to enjoy that little sleep you get, that little hour 15.
I pray. Okay. I
What
couldn't
about you?
really, yeah,
What
I
do,
couldn't really decide either. Similar to the listeners, I loved the episode with Amy, um, in her story. But I'm not gonna lie, I think my favorite one, you weren't on it, unfortunately. But that's not why it's my
no issue.
favorite.
No issue.
I really liked the interview that I did with PD Gibson when we did the Trans Lives
Oh,
Matter
yep.
one. I feel like both of those, Amy's and PD's, I learned so much. Like I just remember leaving it being mind blown. And the thing about PD's interview was we recorded the whole thing and lost it.
I was about to say, I was going to bring that up. Like, you had to do that a few times.
Lost the entire recording. So we had to do it again. But like it was just so enlightening to me. So I'm gonna play a quick clip from that too because it was just so good.
I mean, the privilege that I have right now walking around as a, passing white man is insane. There's a lot of safety for me. So when we talk about like, things that might happen to the trans community, my privilege, my access to medicine, my access to surgery, and then just like my skin color and the fact that I now pass as male makes me not really a target in the way that especially trans women of color are much more targeted. So the amount of violence that they see, the amount of like the murder rate, it is literally being called a crisis. Like it is technically a crisis, the murder rates and the violence. And those are only the ones that are A, reported, or B, where they don't misgender the person, because we see that all the time where trans women of color are murdered and then they're completely misgendered when they talk about it, when they talk about, what happened to this person. And
wow, I didn't even think about that.
And the onus is always on the own community to say, hey, we need to make this correction, and hey, here's what happened. So
this is like a totally personal question / sidebar.
Let's do it.
But what, like, can you give us one, like, either funny or just blatant example of how you were started to be treated differently now compared to when you appeared, like, as a woman, I guess, in society? Like, is there a noticeable difference?
Um, the way that other men treat me is totally different. Where I don't ever feel like I'm taking up space or that I don't belong somewhere. Like, I went to Home Depot and asked someone a question, and they went, "Oh yeah, bro, it's right over there." And I think there wasn't that pause where they looked to see if I was serious enough to be in Home Depot. It's like that very
Little
small thing,
things.
but men always greet me. It's even if it's just that sort of like, that like dude head nod when like dudes see each other and just like, what's up? What's up, bro? I get that now, and it's like I've been invited into this society that I'm like, I don't even feel comfortable here. Like, I don't even really have a lot of male friends. I'm not super comfortable around men at all.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so it's like little tiny things, but you start to realize the way that the world was made for white men, and then for white women, and then for black men, and then for black men, and then anybody else who doesn't fit into that binary is below that. And it's pretty sickening.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that was one of my favorite episodes. We still keep in touch with PD on Instagram. He was in town doing a stand-up in Boston in December. It was like December 18th. And I was gonna forward it to you and be like, should we pull up to this? But then it was like obviously mad. We had just canceled our Christmas party. It was the same weekend as our Christmas party
yeah.
because
Supposed
of
to be that day.
Corona. Yeah.
Yep.
And it snowed. It ended up
Actually,
snowing
that snowed that
day.
night. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, damn, but next time
If he still had his show?
I think he did. I need to reach out. You know me. I'm not good at reaching out. But listeners, your favorite was Amy's episode. So let's play a quick clip from that before we wrap up.
So a narcissist, like that sort of immediate thought that we all have, that they're confident and they're arrogant or whatever, which he is all of those things, which, doesn't necessarily mean someone's a narcissist, but those are all traits that people find very captivating. And so they can sweep people into their vortex, but the thing is, no one ever gets close to them except for that supply, which at one time was me. So I know him better than anyone does, which is why he literally, he'll still message every now and again, you're the love of my life, blah 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 blah. But he actually, like, sort of intrinsically hates me because I'm the only person, other than the previous supplies and probably the new supplies catching on now, that like actually sees the giant void that is like literally his soul. So
I am shook.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Do you? Okay, I know. I'm like last question, but I'm shook. The people that you're identifying as like new supply, I feel like I'm having a hard time accepting that term because y'all are like people.
Yes.
And so that's like a hard
like I'm his fix.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time like processing that as a term to describe like people he's victimizing. But is there a sense of like, was old supply saying like, Amy, warning, and do they do that to new? Like, I don't want to say like you're doing that because I think that's probably not healthy. But is there like this longing to like warn the next person?
That's a great question.
A lot of people do want to warn. That's like one of the things that they'll talk about when you're going through like the recovery from narcissistic abuse. It will make no difference. Okay. They sweep you up into such a whirlwind that it would make no difference. Right. And that's what we're talking about when anybody that's in an abusive situation, like there's really nothing that anyone external can say. Like people will say to me all the time, if I had said, if I had done, if I had told you. My mom's like, if I had just forbid you, like none of those things would have made a difference.
Right.
So, for one, obviously I feel not the nicest way about this person who went with my boyfriend to Mexico. Like,
got it.
Not my favorite person. But yes, of course, there's part of me that wants to throw him under the bus for the messages that I still receive a year and a half later, like for sure. But will it do any good? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's like everybody just kind of has to go through their course and kind of discover it for themselves, because they will warn, right? Like I'm certain that the new supply, and the reason that they call it like new supply is because the narcissist really doesn't actually look at people as people.
Yeah,
They
I
don't
get that.
have the same
It's
kind of
property, like you
relation.
said. Yeah.
And that's why it's hard for
property.
us to use that word, because we're like not narcissists and we're like, these are
Yeah.
people.
And of course, like I don't want to think of myself as being like supply,
mhm.
but at the end of the day, like, you know,
Checking those boxes.
that's kind of like that's just what I was for him, and still am. If you give them anything, positive or negative, it's supply. So it's like,
so it's also the
actually
actions
use
that
as a
you
person.
take. It's like you, and then also like what you give him, what action, like
Anything.
if you responded to a text, that would be like some of his supply.
Yeah, anything. And it could be positive or negative. They really don't care. So if they can't get the positive out of you, if
They'll
they
go
can't
for
get
the
you to just be adoring of them, then they will just do stuff that makes you enraged at them. Whatever works for them.
The controlling factor.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if they have control over your emotions in any way, shape, or form,
They won. Yeah.
that works for them.
Okay. Remember last memory, but after we recorded Amy's episode, I distinctly remember you saying like, holy shit, like I just learned so much.
Yeah, because I mean, it was about domestic violence and domestic abuse, and I came into it very naive, thinking it was just like physical abuse. And then to hear her say that all the other abuse was worse than the physical abuse, to me, that sounded preposterous. And I was like, how is that possible? So
Preposterous.
And I mean, she explained it and broke it down to me. And after hearing that and like just watching other TV shows and seeing other things, I feel like there's actually a lot of people who actually feel like that, who are in those type of relationships, that they feel like the physical abuse is nothing. All the other type of abuse is worse. So that was like mind opening to me. Crazy.
I learned so much that episode too.
And just giving her the strength to actually go out there and actually tell her story.
I know. And that was the first time she ever said it.
Exactly. Yeah, that was her first time disclosing that information. So kudos to her.
Crazy. Amy, we love you. I'm excited though. I feel like our episode schedule for the first couple months is lit. And it's gonna get us right back into the swing of things after a nice little holiday break.
Hiatus. Yeah. So look out. It's gonna be dope coming through in the future, 2022.
You know what? The thing about 2022 is that it rhymes with way too many.
Yo, facts. Yeah, there's gonna be in a lot of raps this year. a lot of Instagram posts, a lot of Instagram captions.
In that freaking Taylor Swift song, have you seen those reels?
No, I do not listen to Taylor Swift.
I don't listen to it either, but everyone's taking that song "Feeling 22."
Oh heck so!
And turning it into 2022, like a whole thing. It's wild. But
right by it.
Seriously, shout out to the DWA fan, because if it weren't for y'all still listening and downloading, we probably would have, who knows where we'd be with this podcast.
We still would be going.
I don't know. Someday it's hard. I would say like it is so hard. It's going to get
even harder. It's going to get even harder as life continues to happen. You know what I mean? So
I know, but my main thing that keeps me going is like people reaching out and saying like, yeah, like, oh, this episode was so good, or this episode helped with all this. So please continue to do that. It literally is the fuel behind us continuing to create content.
Yo, and I still get hit up so much about like our merch and how people still wear it and how people still make comments and compliments.
Me too. We haven't done merch in a minute. We can bring merch back. We can bring merch back. We'll switch up the system a little bit.
For the better.
Yeah. Do it better.
Improvement. It's always needed.
That would be a good maternity leave project for me.
You start making some maternity clothes, DWA branded.
Oh no, I'll be done with maternity clothes by then. But I just mean like when I'm on maternity leave, like a good because I feel like when Em was on maternity leave, at some point after she had like her feet under her, she was like, I could do a couple things. Like I want to work my mind, not just think about the baby all the time. So I'm thinking that'll be a good time period for us to start thinking about merch again.
Gotcha. Yeah, very true. I mean, like I said, people are hitting us up about it. People are still enjoying it. I mean, people they love it. So not
They
even the
love
people
it.
wearing it, people see people wearing it. I still wear it out and still get
So many.
compliments
All
and
the time we get
comments about it. So
messages. It's so good.
keep rocking your merch.
Next week, we're going to have, I'm not going to be on here because I'm being kicked off so that these two jamokes can talk about what it's like when your wife or partner is pregnant. Terrence will be here with Jared. Who knows what they're going to say?
It's going to be lit.
Pregnant
Just-
people do not
Just know that.
come with sensitivity because I'm sure
Facts.
things will
Facts,
be
yeah.
said that'll make you feel offended. These people, especially Terrence, he has who knows,
Yeah.
but he's
Don't
very
be-
excited about it.
Don't be sensitive about it.
Oh my, I'm
Don't
talking to
don't
myself.
take it the wrong way. Don't
I'm
take it
talking
the
to
wrong
myself because when I listen to it, I'm going to be
Yo, it's gonna be eye roll city, as you can imagine. I need to see your face when this comes out, or when you actually listen for after we record it, because you're gonna be rolling your eyes.
I'm going to be rolling my eyes so hard. But
That's funny.
hey, we got to get your guys' perspective. The truth hurts sometimes, you know?
Hey, it is what it is.
So, anyways, again, thank you guys for rocking with us. If you like this podcast, go ahead and leave us a review. We love reading the reviews. And share this episode with a friend.
Yep. Follow us on Instagram, Done with Adulting Pod. I don't even remember the Twitter name. Can't even hold you.
You don't even tweet it.
I don't. Yo, I got my
Should
new
we
phone.
deactivate the Twitter?
No, you got to keep it. So when we blow up, we can just hop back on there like it was nothing.
Anybody
new.
want to manage our Twitter out there? Hit us up.
No, I got the new phone and I don't have the password. So
The 13?
connect on that. No, this was a while ago. I forgot. I don't know what this is. Somebody phone. I don't know.
It's done
Actually-
WTH adulting.
Yes, that's what it is. Did you watch there's a movie on Netflix with what's his name? With Leo and is it Jennifer Lawrence?
Yeah, don't look up. It was so funny.
Yeah, that was a
That
great
was-
movie.
So accurate. It was like the
Exactly.
most accurate thing I've ever seen.
Yo, it was so accurate. So if y'all haven't checked that out, definitely check that out. It was a great movie.
It was
that was right-
hilarious.
That come out right after Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of good stuff came out during the holidays. So
Maybe we got to talk about that next episode.
I know. What are people
Not next
watching?
episode, but an episode. Yeah.
Where's Brian? Bring Brian back 2022.
Actually, yeah, let's do it.
I'm going to hit him up.
Actually, we need to hit him up about some discounts, if you know what I mean.
I know. He's got a new gig and everything. All right. We're obviously rambling. We will see y'all next week. Happy freaking New Year. If you haven't heard that enough by this point.
I haven't even
That's all we
said it that
got.
much.
Say
Happy
it
New
right
Year.
now. Close this out.
Happy New Year.